Right, we're going to continue our education, spiritual education on this lost and hapless world. Tonight we're going to focus on a very timely question right now that's on a lot of people's minds and has a nature that has created a lot of troubles in this world for the Jewish people and others. And the question is, are the Jewish people the chosen people? Of course, most of the Jews, the non-secular Jews, believe this. And as usual, these types rise up to become government of countries because they have this profound belief that is seemingly unshakable, that they know the truth and that they are ordained or ordered by God to do whatever mayhem they're going to cause on this planet. But this is a pertinent question for these times, and I think it needs to be explored. Those of you who saw my presentation on who was the Exodus Pharaoh, which we discovered was Ramses III, know that after the Israelites escaped Israel, Moses took them for a long journey towards the land of Canaan, where he taught them and he created their laws of government and pretty much all the laws that they still abide by today. That was about 3,200 years ago. So we're going to go fast forward about 700 years or so, and they become imprisoned again or enslaved again by this time the Mesopotamians. And they couldn't believe it because according to what Moses had said, God had given them a chosen people status and had given them their protection. But during those few hundred years, they had really veered off course from true spiritual laws. And it had become traditionalized and corrupted to the point where several prophets were given to Israel. And these prophets told them that they're going the wrong way and they need to change their ways. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of trouble. Of course, they didn't listen, and they often killed those prophets. Micah, Isaiah, Zechariah. If they could have gotten their hands on Elijah, he would have been killed as well, but he was taken according to the biblical passage. And also, of course, John the Baptist, and finally Jesus Christ, which they didn't recognize as a prophet. So a series of prophets during that period, a few hundred years before Christ, appeared to them and tried to teach them and tried to get them back on course, which was unfruitful. They preferred the tradition. And, I want to just emphasize, when you're talking about a whole race, you can't generalize, like the Jewish people did this or did that. There are good people, wise and unwise people in every race, in every country. And if you're over 20 and you don't understand that, you haven't been paying attention, my friend. They're everywhere. So they missed the chance they had to correct their way with these prophets, instead deciding to kill them. As time went on, this notion of being the chosen people became completely confused because they were chosen, yes, they were chosen to bring the light of truth to this planet, to all the races of this world, to become the light bearers, the torch bearers of humanity in their obedience to the one God, which was newly appearing at that time. Most of the world was still pagan. And they were chosen to teach the rest of humanity, to lead them in spirituality. But along the way, particularly after the captivity in Mesopotamia, their second time they had been enslaved, which greatly um, confused them, because how could they be the chosen people and become enslaved over and over again? And they forgot that it's not that you're chosen above the others, but that you were chosen to lead humanity in spiritual truth, seeking the truth, understanding God, who He is. And that was the role that the Jewish people were chosen for. In time, it just became we're chosen, as if we're special uh, just by being born Jewish, then you must be special. By the way, I have a very mixed background myself. I'm from the Middle East, but I've been raised here. I follow Jesus, but not Christianity, but Jesus, true teachings. And I was raised by a Muslim grandmother and a Jewish grandmother on my father's side. So that has given me a adaptability and a knowledge of East and West and what it's like to be a part of these religions, the way they think. Um, Moving on, this confusion about whether you're chosen to lead humanity in finding God, and it became deteriorated and corrupted to the point where it just became we're just chosen. He likes us best, which again goes back to these ideas from very, very ancient times that God is a lot like a human. He has favorites. He doesn't like some of his children, he likes other children, and he gives the children that he likes the right to do as they want with the other children that supposedly God does not like. These are all primitive ideas. These are primitive concepts and understandings of the creator of this universe, who is just slightly above this kind of ridiculous nonsense. Even a human parent wouldn't choose, or at least a good parent would never choose or prefer one child over another. And certainly the father of creation is not going to make mistakes that even earth parents or earth parents that are good parents could possibly make. These are from the times when we thought God is stamping his foot up in the clouds and throwing thunderbolts to kill people and damning humanity, requiring human sacrifice before he can forgive us. They're just coming from a very, very ancient, primitive time. It was what it was. There's no need to carry it on. But it does carry on, because once your religion becomes fixated, once it becomes crystallized, once it becomes frozen, then you have no choice but to listen to whatever the holy book of that period says, even if it's 3,000 years later and the world is a completely different place. And of course, there's corruption along the way. All of these scriptures are combined writings of many people. Some of them were holy, some of them weren't so holy. This confusion about the holy people status created a egocentric and um, self-centered and isolated viewpoint. Because when you feel that you're special, that you're more special than other people, that tendency is to isolate yourself from the others, both genetically and culturally, which just takes you into another more extreme corner where you are bereft of understanding the other races, the other ways of thinking, the other religions, and you just become more and more isolated and cornered in your spot. So at the time that Jesus came, roughly 2,000 years ago, the Jewish people were waiting for the Son of Man. So this is going back before there was a book of Revelations in the Bible. The book of Daniel was it for the Jewish people as far as prophecies go, and they believed it without a shadow of a doubt. There were other prophets that had some prophecies, but especially regarding the end of days, it was Prophet Daniel and the book of Daniel that ruled the day and held people's imagination. And if you look at this section, the Son of Man is given dominion. This is when, the end of days are supposed to happen. And behold, from the clouds of heaven, there came some, like a Son of Man, came to the Ancient of Days, was presented to them, he was given dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that shall not be destroyed. So what they were waiting for back then was the Messiah. And their idea of who this Messiah is was regulated and governed by this quote from the book of Daniel. And so they expected this Son of Man, this Messiah, when he came, he would set up an empire. Of course, he would make his chosen people, the Jewish people, in their mind, a dominion and glory and a kingdom, so that all people, nations, and languages should serve this Son of Man and his chosen people, the Jewish people. Of course, Jesus was not going to do anything like that. He was not here to change the world by force. But what they basically misunderstood was that this vision that Daniel had is an authentic vision. What they did not understand was that Daniel was talking about the Messiah that's going to come for our time. It's at the time of harvest that Jesus spoke of, that this particular Messiah, which is going to basically change the world, is going to come. Jesus was here to teach us spiritual truths and tell us about the God of love and our relationship to this God as sons and daughters of that God. And he certainly did not prefer any of his children over others. God is pure love. I shouldn't have to explain this. This is not the Stone Age. The Creator that created everything sees everyone equally and loves everyone equally, and certainly would not play favorites like some foolish human parent. So, because they thought that Jesus was saying that he's the Messiah, but he was not, this was not the Messiah that they were expecting. They were expecting this guy to come and kill all the bad people, which was whoever, no Jews, of course, and set up a kingdom and rule the earth with a rod of iron. Was Jesus going to do that? No. The next one, the next appearance, is going to be that time. And therefore, because of this crucial misunderstanding, they failed to recognize Jesus and could not accept him as the Messiah that the entire nation had been speaking of and waiting for hundreds of years. They were absolutely sure that this Messiah, when he came, the world would never be the same, and he would basically wage war and bring it all under control, under his rod of iron, and forcefully control the whole planet. That was not going to happen with Jesus. And because of this misunderstanding, they could not recognize or accept Jesus as that Messiah. And because of that, they were forced to call him a pretender, a hoax, a fake. You can't be the Messiah, even though you're saying you're the Son of Man and you're the Son of God. Since our scriptures don't accept that, we can't accept that, and we have to therefore see you as a phony, and you must be killed. So that's basically how things went down. And they missed out on their opportunity. But what that created was this situation where these same Jewish people who had been chosen to lead humanity in spiritual knowledge, insight, to guide humanity to the God of love, instead became egocentric and killed the prophets, just as Jesus said in the Bible. They killed the prophets that were sent to them. And finally, they also rejected John the Baptist and Jesus Christ. And this was all because they could not see themselves as a group that was chosen to lead all of humanity to the truth, because they had become egocentric and it was just about them and them alone and their welfare. Which, if you've seen my other videos, you understand that that means primarily a absolute disconnection from reality, a broken trust, and a situation where you just don't understand that everybody around you is part of you. You do unto others as they do unto you because they are you. You just don't see it. What you do to others is what you're doing to yourself. It's one of those paradoxes that only those with spiritual insight can understand. Once they had killed all the prophets and John the Baptist and Jesus Christ, they therefore broke the covenant. The covenant was between them and actually Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was the God that they had gone into this agreement with. So basically, they killed the being that has signed that agreement. So the question is, can you come into an agreement, sign an agreement, and then every representative from the other side that comes, you kill them, and then you also kill the person that you made this agreement with? Does that mean that the agreement is still in place? No. You broke the agreement. The status of being protected as chosen people to lead humanity into light was destroyed by the Jews themselves, and their fate was essentially sealed by killing the author of that covenant, Jesus Christ himself. So no, they are not the chosen people. Certainly they are not preferred above other people. But you Muslims, you think you're the chosen people too. You're not chosen either. God does not look at his children that way. If your parents, if your human parents are smarter than acting that way, do you really think that the creator of the universe wouldn't act above that? What kind of a silly anthropomorphic viewpoint of God does a person have to see the creator of this whole universe as somebody that does dumber things than the dumbest human beings on earth? These are all just fantasies. None of this is reality. Neither are Christians God's favorite. God does not have favorites. God is absolute, unconditional love. Even when he has to restrain us or discipline us, it's only for our own good. There is nothing but love in it. No, you're not special and chosen because you're in a church. You're not special or chosen because you're a Muslim. You're not chosen because you're Jewish. None of you are any more special than the other. How you're viewed, how you're judged, is based on a very simple criteria. Do you do God's will or do you not? That's it. They do not care what race you're from, what religion you have, what country you're from, how industrious you are, how smart you are, how much you've accomplished, how much money you've made, how pretty you are. None of it matters. The only thing that matters is your character. Are you going to do the will of God by serving all of humanity or not? Or are you going to be self-centered and just think about yourself, your own tribe, your people in your own church, the people in your own race, your own nation? These are all things that pull a wool over your eyes. You see things incorrectly, and therefore you make mistakes like this unbelievable mistake that was made by the Jewish people 2,000 years ago that's brought them to this point. The covenant was broken by their own hand. It does not stand. They have no special status, and they never did. No human being does. None of you are more special than others. God is not a respecter of persons or countries or races or man-made religions. It's your heart that matters, nothing else. Take care of yourself. God bless you.